Hello, everyone. This session title is Increase Moderate to Vigorous Physical Activity, MVPA, in Physical Education while using IHT zone heart rate monitors. My name is Eric Larson. I am the Regional Vice President for Interactive Health Technologies, and I've been with this company for the past 2 years. Previously, I was a physical education teacher for Denver Public Schools for 22 years and the physical education coordinator for DPS for 13 years. After I retired from DPS, I worked as the National Physical Education and Physical Activity Advisor for the Alliance for a Healthier Generation. All the videos that you see today are from my time with the Alliance or attending and presenting at state conventions. My email address is at the bottom of the slide, along with my Twitter handle. The goal in the time that you have students in your class is 50% moderate to vigorous physical activity. The normal is only 36%. There are strategies to increase moderate to vigorous physical activity. The purpose of an instant activity is to keep the students moving. You want to involve students in an activity as quickly as possible, whether they're coming from the classroom at the elementary level or they're coming from the locker room at the middle school and high school level. The criteria for an instant activity is that it involves every student. There is little teacher involvement, it is safe, and there's no elimination, and it maintains a high level of activity for all students. After a few minutes of vigorous activity, students are ready to listen for instruction about the day's lesson. Grouping allows you to get into the activity quickly and efficiently. Modifying activities is very important to increase moderate to vigorous physical activity. And disguising fitness, taking fun, engaging activities, and team games that disguise overall fitness concepts. As you're watching the videos, just realize that every video that you see today has the directions in the packet that you will receive. Fitness stations will have all the fitness stations listed. The games, all the rules and the objectives will be included. Many times there'll be a diagram to go along with the instructions. These fitness cards, for example, are used for Conga Line. You will receive a PDF with 25 fitness cards that you can print out and laminate and use with the Conga Line activity, or use in other ways during your instruction. Again, the equipment will be listed in these activities. Even debriefing questions will be on there, and diagrams. This will all help as you look at the videos today, knowing that you will have a packet with all this information. We will get back to the management strategies after we watch the videos, and we will talk about these strategies. As we go through the videos, I will stop at times and talk just a little more about the activities. Other times, I will play them all the way through. The first one is Fitness Train. In this activity of Fitness Train, it's an engaging instant activity in which the first person on each team leads a fitness activity. Every 30 seconds, the leader goes to the end and everyone moves up one spot. You can also use cue words such as rotate, reverse, switch, and slow motion. Here is the fitness stations, 15 fitness stations. This is a group of teachers from McAllen, Texas, that I worked with while I was with the Alliance. And they wanted ideas of how to increase strength and endurance and cardio. So I introduced these fitness stations. Along with these fitness stations, in your packet, you will receive the directions for each station. If you notice on the floor, the directions are there for the groups as they rotate. Rotations will be done every 45 seconds with this activity. This one I let go just a little bit longer so that you could see the activities. But like I said before, all the write-ups will be included in your packet. You just take those write-ups, print them out, maybe put them into a lamination sleeve, put it on a cone, or lay it on the floor for the participants. This activity is survivor tag. And in survivor tag, the first thing you'll notice is everybody's wearing wristbands. This is part of grouping. So I can go from survivor tag to other activities, and they just stay in their same groups. This cuts down on transition time. In survivor tag, it's a team game, so it's good all the way through high school. In this team game, if you are tagged, you put your hand up or you go down to one knee with your hand up. And I'm just going to freeze it here for just a second, just to talk about this activity. So you'll have your hand up and you'll wait for a teammate to come and free you. So this game is very active in that you're either trying to dodge taggers from the other team, or you are trying to free your partners or your teammates so they stay in the game. When one team is out, they have to take a trip around the island and together. So they jog around the outside of the island and they come back in the game and the game continues. This makes it easy for a continuous game with a lot of MVPA. I'm going to play the rest of this video and then I'm going to show you a second version of survivor tag. The second version of survivor tag, so the game goes a little bit longer, you can do levels. The first time you're tagged in this game, you do not put your hand up. First time you're running or dodging and you get tagged, then you have to go to level 2. Level 1's running, level 2 is skipping, and so you don't put your hand up yet. Level 3 is sliding. After you've been tagged while you're sliding, then you do need to put your hand up until a teammate frees you, and then you're back in and you start at level 1 and go all the way to level 3. When I've modified this activity and added the levels, teams do not get out the full team and have to make a trip around the island and get back in. So this really brings the heart rate up and there's more MVPA. This is Conga Line. Conga Line, you'll notice on the floor there are the cards. The cards are what I showed you before. They're the student fitness cards. The participants in this activity, and this was at a state conference in Kentucky, they do active rock, paper, scissors. Win or lose, they have to look on the card and do the activity that's on the card. a certain number of times. And then the winner moves on and rotates. There's 3 lines in the conga line. So the winner would go from the 2 people that are closest to us, would go all the way diagonally across, and everybody else moves up 1. It's like a snake, and you just rotate to the next station. After you do the activity on the card, and you rotate, then you do the activity with the next person that's waiting for you to get there. You can also do this with dice. And so instead of doing active rock, paper, scissors, they could roll dice. You would do the activity, the number on your dice, and then the winner rotates and the loser stays. So you'll see the rotation right here. And then it just is continuous. There's another version of this, which you will see next. This version, they are not going to be looking at the cards at all. They again do active rock, paper, scissors. Then they do a preset number of jumping jacks, and you can make that fitness activity whatever you want. Once they do the preset number of fitness activities, then again, the winner moves up and the loser stays at that station, and everybody rotates 1. This is 6-way Frisbee. This first video, there's no defense. 3 teams are going one direction and 3 teams are going the other direction, and it alternates between groups. And what they're trying to do is pass the Frisbee to all the players on their team. Only 1 Frisbee can be in play at a time. And once everybody has caught the Frisbee once, including the person that started the Frisbee is then put in the hula hoop or whatever circle you want to put down at the baseline. Once 1 Frisbee is out of play, then they go back and start the next one. Do you have to use Frisbees for this activity? No. You can use balls, gator skin balls, any type of balls that you want to use, Nerf balls. I've used it with footballs. The whole key to this is that it's a team game, and they have to pass it to everybody on their team before they get to put the ball or the Frisbee in the hoop. So you'll see a little bit more of this as they're moving from their starting area down to the finish area. Now I'm going to pause this one just for a minute so we can talk about what happens in the next stage. The next stage is anybody that is playing can play defense. So once you've passed the Frisbee or the ball and it's moving along and everybody on the team has to catch it once, when you are not passing, you can go and play defense anywhere in the gymnasium. And this is also a great activity to do outside. So you play defense. If you knock down a Frisbee, you do not have to pick it up. The team that was passing the Frisbee, they have to pick it up, take it back to their starting point, restart it, and everybody still has to catch it once before you can score. Once you've scored all 6 Frisbees, if that's what you started with, then you're the winning team. And you could do it with 4 Frisbees. You could do it again with other types of equipment. Now you'll see some defense involved, and you'll see one team trying to score at the end closest to us. This activity is now taking 6-way Frisbee and putting it into a grid situation. So there are 6 grids set up and 6 people in each grid. And you divide it up so there's 3 on 3 playing each other. In this situation, the group that is starting at the far side on this video is trying to score at the hula hoop at our near side, and vice versa. And you have 3 Frisbees at your starting point, and you have to score all 3. So now you're playing a combination of offense and defense, and you have to stay within your grid or your lane. And this is set up with either poly spots or small cones or the lines to determine the lanes or the grids. And again, you could do this with a basketball activity in grids. You could do it with a soccer activity in grids. You can pass other equipment besides Frisbees. The whole idea is there's a lot of offense and defense, and of course, high MVPA. Mass soccer. To set up mass soccer, you'd have 6 goals, 6 teams. As you watch this, you'll see 2 offensive players, 2 defenders, and 1 goalie for each team. You have different colored soccer balls. These are Nerf soccer balls, but you could use gator skin balls. And if you're playing outside, then you'd use regular soccer balls. The goal for this activity is to score at 5 goals. There's 6 set up, so you score at the other 5. You do not score at your own goal. Once you score, and you'll see this in the video, you have to go over on the baseline by the goal area, and you'd pick up a card. So you'd have 5 cards laid out for, let's say, the blue team, and those are all aces. The red team would have all kings. The yellow team would have all queens, and so on. You could also use small laminated pieces of cardboard, or stock paper, rather, I'm sorry. And that would, with the colored squares, they would pick up either a blue if they score a blue, red if they score red, a yellow if they score yellow. Once they have 5 cards, then they bring them to you in the center, and that is the winning team. So that tells you that they've scored at all 5 goals. You see that they have the wristbands on. The wristbands, we might have went from survivor tag to keeping the teams the same and playing mass soccer. We might have started with mass soccer and finished with survivor tag. And that way you don't have to change your teams. Now, there are other activities that you can do with this format once they learn mass soccer, because you could do team handball with this setup. You could do lacrosse with this setup. You can do floor hockey with this setup. You can do mass basketball with this setup. The mass basketball, the rules are just a little bit different. And really, all the sports, the rules are a little bit different. And I do have rules for mass basketball where they're trying to score at 5 of the 6 goals. So in this, you can again see high MVPA. And you see not only sometimes 1 ball being tried to scored at a goal, but sometimes 2. So the goalie's really got to be alert, and the backs, to keep the teams from scoring. Once 1 game finishes, of course, you would rotate positions and start again in the center with everybody playing a new position. This activity is cone ball. When I was doing this in Arkansas, we didn't have enough players. I had it set up for 6 groups, but I just modified and we went down to 3 groups. But again, you would want a goalie. The goalie has to stay out of the goalie box, which is the blue square in the middle. It's just put down with floor tape. The goalie is defending the cone. You'd have either 1 or 2 backs, depending on how many players, and at least 2 forwards that would be trying to score. Again, they have to score. In this case, there's 3 goals set up, so they have to score in the other 2 goals to win this game. They pick up a card and move on to the next goal once they've scored. The cone must be knocked down. If the cone's knocked down, then that's a score. The small cones, or the dome cones that you see, is an area that the offensive players cannot go in. The defensive players play just jumping jack defense. In other words, they are not slapping at the ball. They can have arms out, legs out to the side to try to block the passes. So I will continue to play this, and then the next one we'll see is I think it's a 4-person cone ball, and you can also do 6 or 8 if you're playing outside, depending on how many students you have in your class. So again, there might be 2 balls being scored at one area, because that's just the way it works in this game, because the teams have to score in 2 of the 3 goals and knock the cone down. It's very similar to team handball. Okay, the cone's knocked down, that team scores, they pick up a card and move on. And this team's trying to score, the orange team's trying to score here against the purple team. Here's a game, I believe there's 4 goal areas set up. Same concept. Goalie stays outside the blue box and clears any shots out that comes their way. One thing great about these mass games is there's no stopping point until the team scores in all the other goals. So it's a continuous game. You don't have to take the balls in from out of bounds, except for in mass basketball you do. This is target ball. So target ball, you start with a larger ball in the middle, and this is a fit ball. And then the next game, you put a smaller fit ball in there, and then some playground balls, and go all the way down to a PG ball or to a ping pong ball. So now as the ball gets smaller, you'll see the students starting to roll instead of throwing overhand. They were trying to knock that ball across a goal line, not their own, of course, one of the other 3 goal lines. And if you're at the goal line, you cannot use your hands to stop the ball. You can only throw a gator skin ball at the target ball to get it going the other direction. Now you'll see in this that players can run out and pick up a ball as long as they go directly back to their goal line to throw. They can't throw from where they pick up the ball. The reason for that rule is to just keep the game moving, and so you don't have to stop and clear out the balls from the middle. This game here is a great game to take the place of dodgeball, because now you're throwing at a target, a ball, instead of throwing at a human target. I had a teacher in Bullitt County in Kentucky tell me that she had an advanced physical education course for 11th and 12th graders, and they play dodgeball every Friday. And she says, you know what, she told the group, I can't see myself changing from dodgeball with these students and playing target ball. And I said, well, just consider it. And the whole group encouraged her. And so I get an email about 2 weeks after the professional development. And she said, we played target ball with their 11th and 12th graders on a Friday. And now that's all they want to play is target ball. And they've forgotten all about dodgeball. So just a little story to encourage you that this is a good game instead of dodgeball. Very active, a lot of overhand throwing, and then, of course, you can go to underhand throwing. This is circle passing. I'm going to play this just for a little bit, and then we'll stop it so you get an idea. This is one large group doing circle passing with 4 basketballs. Now, of course, they have to learn the pattern first, And so to learn the pattern, you start with one basketball. Again, everything that we are talking about is included in your packet. So all the directions for circle passing and all the directions for all the activities are included in your packets. The idea behind this is you always follow your pass. Now, of course, you can do bounce passes, chest passes, overhead passes. I think the next group, we had some Globetrotter music playing, and so they were doing some fancy passing. So you can make it fun for the students, but it's very active once they learn the rotation. Now, I've done this with 4th and 5th graders all the way up to varsity athletes, because varsity athletes, you can time them to see how many times they can get through the rotation with the same people back in the circle. Now you can do it with 2 groups. So if you're doing it with 2 smaller groups, then you only have 2 balls in the middle. The whole key is the number of players you start in the middle, you have to have twice as the number on the outside. This activity here is 3-pass fitness. They're with a partner, 1 piece of equipment, pass it 3 times, and then maybe this one's 5-pass fitness. You do go an odd number. You pass it. I'm going to stop that just a little bit and talk about the video we just saw. You pass the equipment 3 or 5 times, whatever you determine, and the person without the piece of equipment goes down into a plank or a push-up position, and the other person has to jump over. You can also have them go into a bridge, and the person has to slide underneath. This is triangle tag, and this is a demonstration of 3 football coaches in Mission, Texas. And as you can see, they really get into this. So the tagger is trying to tag the person, one of the 3 that are holding hands. And you can use flag belts instead if the kids, are hesitant about holding hands. The flag belts work really well. And so the chaser is trying to tag the person on the far side in the triangle, and the other 2 are trying to move without bumping into the chaser. The chaser cannot go through the middle to tag. He has to go around the outside. And it's really a spike in MVPA. These coaches said they're going to use this with their football players because they were gassed at the end of this. This is triangle tag with more. This is a group in Missouri, Jefferson City, Missouri, doing triangle tag. This one is partner tag. Partner tag, you only have power if you have a partner. You only have tagging power if you have a partner. So they start out arms locked. If one of the 2 people gets tagged, then they have to release, and that person puts their hand up until somebody comes and gives them a high five and becomes their tagging partner. That is all the videos. So I'm going to move from here and close this out and go back to our PowerPoint and talk about management strategies. So from watching these videos, it's important to develop management strategies. In your instruction, very important, whether you're doing fitness activities or you're doing team games or whatever the activity is, you want to start out with some kind of cue words like what's listed here. You would want to say when before what. So you're giving instructions. You tell students when you want them to do something before you tell them what you want them to do. And it goes something like this. When I say go, you are going to, and then continue on. The object of the game, very important, you give concise directions and instructional cues. No questions. Instead of answering students' questions and then getting started, most students will get it while they're participating in the activity. And if they don't, they look around and they pick it up from others. The 80-20 rule, after instruction, assume 80% of the students understand and the other 20% don't. That's okay. Go, get the activity started, because then you become a plumber. While students move, you play the role of the plumber and you fix the leaks by providing individuals with information needed. You can always stop the activity if it's less than 80% that got the instructions and know how the game's working, but this keeps you from over instructing and getting the game started. Principles of 3. Use instructional cues such as 3 rules, 3 passes, 3 seconds, 3 steps. That 6-way Frisbee game, you use all of those principles of 3. And the last one is equipment. One piece of equipment for each student or a 1-to-2 ratio. And the equipment should be available around the perimeter so you can so that you can transition from one activity to another. Here is our team that if you're interested in purchasing IHT heart rate monitors, and in just a few seconds here, Brandon Wolf's going to come on, and he's going to talk to you about the heart rate monitors that can be used to measure MVPA. And he's going to talk you through that. But first, I want to talk about Lois Mauch. She's on the left side there, and she's a director of education. And Lois is a former physical education teacher, physical education coordinator. She's taught at the college level. Brandon Wolf on your right is customer success manager, former teacher in Kansas. He was the middle school teacher of the year in 2014 and the Central District Teacher of the Year in 2015. He is now with IHT. So this is your team that would work with you if you were interested in purchasing heart rate monitors. Next, I'm going to go to Brandon's video telling you about the IHT heart rate monitors, and then we will wrap up. We'll get Brandon up here and get this started.
Hello, I'm Brandon Wolf, Customer Success Manager for IHT. And in this video, I'm going to explain the IHT Spirit System and the Zone heart rate monitors and how they work in the physical education classes. Now let's talk about the heart rate zone itself. It has 2 main functions. The first function is the number in the middle, which is the student's heart rate. And then depending upon where their heart rate falls within your class, it can turn different colors. Blue being in the resting or low zone, yellow being in the moderate zone, and red being in the vigorous zone. In this video, I'm going to specifically go through each color and what they represent in your class. The IHT technology allows students to have ownership of their own wellness. IHT is the gold standard of wearable fitness technology that supports students from kindergarten through graduation day. Let's talk about the blue heart rate zone. In this zone, students would be 60% or less of their maximum heart rate. In this low impact zone, students can talk and breathe comfortably, light sweating, and can stay here for a long time. Activities would include yoga, golf, light weightlifting, and walking at a comfortable pace. The benefits of this zone is it improves muscle tone, recovery, and heart health. Now let's talk about the yellow heart rate zone. This is what we would consider the moderate zone. This is anywhere between 60 to 80% of the student's maximum heart rate. In this zone, students can talk but are breathing very heavy. Their heart rate is really pumping, and there's lots of calories being burned in this zone. Activities would include bicycling, dancing, some fitness games, and jogging at an even pace. The benefit in this zone is it improves aerobic fitness, stamina, and endurance. Now let's talk about the last zone, which is the red zone, which is what we consider the vigorous zone. It's 80 to 90% of the student's maximum heart rate. In this zone, students wouldn't be able to talk, and they're breathing very fast. They're going to feel very exhausted, and this is the zone where they're going to get faster and stronger. Some activities that can be in the vigorous zone would be soccer, basketball, high-intensity interval training, and running at an all-out pace. The benefits in this zone is it improves performance of speed and power. This is how the classroom management works when it comes to using the IHT Spirit system in your gym. First, the students will take the monitor off the charging case. They'll take it over to the Spirit reader, and the Spirit reader will then activate the zone monitor for the students to wear for the time of your class period, so it's collecting heart rate data and possibly calories burned. Here are two short videos of this procedure and protocol that would happen inside your classroom. The first one is activating the heart rate monitor. The student picks up the heart rate monitor off the charging case, sets it on the Spirit reader, and it's ready then to be activated for pickup. The second video you'll see is a student putting the monitor on. Once it's activated, the student will then slip the monitor over their wrist, put it at least 2 to 3 fingers above the wrist bone, and then clamping it down onto the arm. The zone monitor has many benefits. First, there's no need to bring out a projector or an iPad to project it. It's right there on the student's wrist, where they can get instant feedback on how well they are doing in your classroom. Then there's that relationship piece, where instead of it being a you, computer, and student relationship, it's right there for you and your student to have a conversation about how well they're doing in your classroom. It helps build that confidence for that student, and that student can then leave your classroom feeling confident and comfortable and ready to come back to do more. Now let's look at some IHT student data. Once the students are done using the heart rate monitor at your class, they will return the monitor using the Spirit reader, and then all that data from each student will then be uploaded into the IHTspirit.com website. Here, the facilitator, you as the teacher, will be able to go back and look at the students' data on how well they did during your class periods. Here's just a small sample of what a report would look like. Here's the student's report when it comes to what their goal was for that day for you as the teacher and how much you wanted them to be in that moderate to vigorous activity. And then here's the actual bar graph of what they actually were able to do for you during that class period. And then over on the right-hand side, you will see a line graph of showing their heart rate through the course of the class period. It will show the highs and the lows, the peaks and the valleys, and also shows the calories burned for that day if you have the height and weight entered into the Spirit system. So then you can create a report by day, week, month, or year, and look at how well your students are doing over that course of time. Another thing that the IHT Spirit system allows you to do is to allow to have that feedback and journaling for students. If the students have their emails put into the system, once the student has returned the monitor with the Spirit reader, then the students will receive an email on how well they've done during that class period. And here's a sample of what they would see. It would show their goal and how they actually did in your classroom for that day. It will also show their heart rate graph on how they were on their peaks and valleys when it comes to their heart rate. And then also if you have their height and weight entered into the Spirit system, it will show calories burned. One of the great functions when it comes to getting that email is that journaling option. The students then can push reply to the email, reflect on how well they felt or what they did during that class period, and push send. Once they've done that, the Spirit system will automatically put their journaling in response into the Spirit system under the journal entry. And now, as a teacher, you're able to track on how well your students are doing physically, but also how they are doing cognitively. So again, if you're looking for a risk-based heart rate technology, IHT Zone has lots of benefits and flexibility. Not only will it accurately monitor your students, but with the tap and go system, it's boundaryless. You can take it inside and outside. You can have an all-day performance with even a Bluetooth function that will work on Chromebooks and iPads. And also it's student-proof, its durability, and its battery life, and its real-time visual feedback for student learning at their own pace. The vision and purpose of the IHT Spirit system is to empower individuals to self-manage their health and well-being through daily to yearly assessment, accountability, and heart-centered learning and support. For watching.
I'm going to close out of that video and go to our last slide and wrap up. One thing that Brandon mentioned is the IHT heart rate monitors can be used inside and out. You can go anywhere on your campus. If you're doing adventure education activities, you can do hiking. You can go as far as you want from your campus. It's still recording all the data. And then that student receives the email, and the parent, if you choose, receives the email from the session. My contact information is listed. I will stay on this session and answer any questions.